But if he wins, like what's realistically going to happen?
With what?
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, yeah, it's still going to depend on, in terms of legislation, it's going to depend on the Republican Party overall. And also, they don't have a supermajority in the Senate. So in terms of legislation, it's going to be very challenging for him. But in terms of executive orders, I think he can do a tremendous amount up front. And as he's done in the past, he essentially rewards his supporters. So I think we'll get reversals on the various international abortion stuff and other national that Biden implemented on the first day. So I think Trump will do that. I think he'll be better on immigration. I mean, he was actually pretty good in immigration apart from building the wall day one, but immigration's certainly going to stop. I think all the hopefully the more the like processing the refugees, also the remain in Mexico policy will come back. So I expect all that to come back. I think also I expect more competent and better appointments. So he can appoint, as we know, like thousands, but there's key positions that are like 100, 150. And he said this on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's like, he just didn't know, like he was frank, like he just admitted he just didn't know what a lot of things. And he gets a list of names and he chooses the names. Okay, I'll choose these guys. And they were all lousy. You know, he even admitted that that it was bad to have Bolton on there and others. But now, over the last 8 years, there have been organizations, I know like Nick Solheim and others, who have been basically training people to become good bureaucrats in the system. So this is one of the problems, is that, well, you have these positions, you need to fill the positions. If you don't fill the positions, then all these mid-level guys will just kind of do whatever they want behind your back, and you can't control them. But you have to appoint the right people. And I think that's all going to change when he gets elected. He'll get the right people in place, and they can significantly change the bureaucracy as members of the bureaucracy, because they understand it, they know it. I think this is like if they threw me into like DHS or or DOD or something, I would not know. Maybe DOD a little bit better, but I mean, I just wouldn't know the institution. I wouldn't know the people. I wouldn't know the processes, the procedures. And so you go in there as well-intentioned. It's like if you have no experience running like a Christian school, and you're like, oh, he's a Christian and he likes these things, let's throw him in the position. He's headmaster now. Well, all of a sudden you're like, there's all these things I don't know. I have these ideas that won't work. The same thing with a bureaucracy or any institution is, once you understand the institution, you can actually change it because you understand the constraints and rules and all that. So I think that's going to be a significant thing. And then there's also the Elon element. Apparently he's going to be in there and bring in government efficiency. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do it. I think the problem is you're still constrained by employment law and lawsuits and all that. So, but you can still do some things. Certainly like the ad hoc commissions that have been created can be eliminated. That would eliminate jobs because they're all ad hoc. And he can do other things as well. I think in terms of international relations, I think he's going to continue like the pivot towards China. He's going to seek more balance of power in the Middle East and Europe. He's definitely going to try to pressure NATO to increase their military spending. I mean, take like Germany, like they have less than 2% of GDP spending on military, and it's the strongest economy in Europe. And so they contribute very little relative to their wealth to NATO, and NATO is kind of a mess. So I think that's going to be an emphasis, and the European countries are going to have to finally step up and pay their fair share for NATO. So again, I think it's going to be like balance of power stuff. U.S. is going to be still in charge, still the leaders, but they're going to demand more of their partners and allies in all these different regions, while we pivot to China. And I think he has people like what's his name, like Eldridge Colby and others who are really great foreign policy guys. Mm-hmm. And he's going to come in. I hope they give him a particular high office or appointment. He was in there during his first term, and so I think it's going to go well in that area too.
I think that a Trump, that a Trump second term will be far more successful for the reasons that Stephen brings up. But I also think that he would have a different kind of mandate as president than he did even in 2017, right? That despite all the things that they've tried to do to him for the last 8 years, the voters will have said, we want him to be president of the United States, right? Despite all the things that you've done.
Yeah.
And
because of the things that they've done.
and especially because of that. Yeah. So if he comes in with a strong mandate like that, and especially if the election turns out to be really good, right? If he wins, if he wins the popular vote, and a strong showing in the Electoral College, beyond just squeaking out a victory, then he comes in like he's the man, and Congress has to play ball with him. The Republican Party has to do what he says, because he can make or break them in the midterms. I'm optimistic, and even getting into like the employment law, things like that. Like you can make it really awful for those people if you're not able to fire them, right? So, like if Elon is involved in that, he will. He knows how to manage people that he wants to get rid of that he legally can't, right? Yeah. Oh, Steven's back. There he is. All right, go ahead, Steven. I don't know if you had any thoughts.
Oh, now I'm not muted. The other thing is, that with bureaucracies is a lot of times these people, they jump in between government and corporate jobs, and so you make essentially their life hell at the bureaucrat in the bureaucracy, and then they leave for a corporate job. And then you fill that position with someone that is good, that's your friend. I think like we need to take something from the left does this, which is that it doesn't matter if the person's competent. All that matters is that they are ideologically aligned.
Yes.
So this sounds like we're revealing our playbook.
Yeah, I mean,
this is what the left does. Like at the local level. Like take like your district assistant attorney or something like that, your assistant district attorney. Those people aren't competent. They're just
Are you describing Kamala?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean that's how she. Well,
yeah.
But anyway,
one of the means, yeah.
Yeah, that was one part of it. No, but that's the thing. I mean, obviously you want the competent people, but like what's important is that you get your people in there.
Yeah.
You secure that position, and then once that guy says like I'm terrible at this, you move on. You bring in a guy who's more competent. But the point is that like in bureaucracy, it's already going to be bad. So it's better to have your friends in there than to get like this is what conservatives do. It's like, oh, this person's an expert. They have the degrees and they have this and that. And this is what evangelical colleges did too. They're like, oh, this person went to Oxford and this person went to Princeton. Well, and so they brought them in like 10 years ago thinking, oh, they're just one of us. And now they're woke and now they're turning the institution to the left. Because they didn't realize, no, actually you got to help out your friends. You have to help out the people who are ideologically aligned. And so the same thing with bureaucracy. You make it hell for the left-wing guys. They go to their corporate job, and then you fill it with your friend.